Welcome to my economy guide for set 7. This set is adding dragons and the new treasure round, therefore we have to approach our economy management in a different way. In this video, I'll cover how to manage our economy on stage 1 until the end, how to play if you want to get a bunch of 3-star units, and lastly, how our leveling and rolling patterns change with different augments. We start off on stage 1, and most people think this stage doesn't matter, but there are a couple of things we can do here to give us an advantage. On stage 1-3 and 1-4, you can sometimes get 10 gold early if you get a ton of gold from the orbs. This is important as we can start stacking up interest gold early, and the earlier you hit 10 gold, the earlier you will hit 20 gold, 30 gold, and eventually 50 gold. If you get ahead of everyone else in terms of generating interest gold, you will get to higher levels faster and get more powerful 2-star dragons or legendaries before everyone else. In addition, it allows you to hold on to more pairs and potentially hit more 2-stars in the early and mid game as well. On stage 1-4, you can choose to pre-level to 4. We do this by buying 4 XP to be 4 out of 6 XP. Since you get 2 XP naturally every single turn, we start stage 2-1 by being level 4, and therefore we also get a level 4 shop. This allows us to see 3 cost units, which can also open up more synergies like Shimmer Scale and Evokers in the early game. The downside of pre-leveling is that we lower our odds of hitting 1 cost units, and it will also take us longer to hit 10 gold. Therefore, only pre-level on 1-4 if you're looking for a specific 3 cost unit, or if you do not need any more 1 cost units. How often I personally pre-level to 4 depends a lot on what strategy I'm going for and what the current meta is. In some patches I pre-level almost every game, and on other patches I rarely pre-level. On stage 2-1 you will pick your first augment. Which one you pick will change how you play the game. If you pick an economy augment, your economic strategy will most likely change. I will go over the augments that alter your economy playstyle at the end of the video. Stage 2 is also when we start fighting other players. Our goals here in terms of economy is to build up as large of an economy as possible, and we do this by gaining gold. And there are 4 main ways of generating gold in TFT: base income, winning PvP rounds, interest gold, and streak bonuses. Since we can only control interest and streaking, those are the ones we focus on the most. Interest gold is very basic. The more gold you have, the more gold you get every turn. Streaking works similarly. The higher your streak is, the more gold you get every turn. Therefore, we almost always want to continue the streak we're currently on in the early game, as this stage is all about generating as much money as possible to set ourselves up for a strong mid and late game. If you have a weak board in the early game, try and go for a 5 loss streak. This means that your goal is to sacrifice your HP by playing a weaker board, but in return you get way more gold. The strategy here is to hit the interest thresholds as fast as possible, and by playing a weak board, you will get a lot of money from the loss streak bonus as well. Do not be afraid to sell off pairs to make 10 or 20 gold. Your general guidelines when going for a loss streak are to have 10 gold on stage 2-2, 20 gold on stage 2-5, and at least 30 plus gold on Krugs. We do not level at all when we're playing for a loss streak on stage 2. The only time you will ever level is on the Krugs round, where you can level to 5 to make sure you win that round. If you have a strong board in the early game, you want to try and win as many rounds as possible. We are less worried about making interest gold as we are maintaining high HP, and we're also generating gold from win streaking as well as from winning PvP rounds. Your general guidelines when playing for a win streak opener is to be level 4 on stage 2-1. If you get a lot of gold from stage 1, you can also go level 5 on stage 2-2, or you can go level 5 on stage 2-3. But I'm not a big fan of doing this as it's quite expensive, so if you don't keep winning, your econ is in a rough spot. By stage 2-3, you want to either pre-level to 5 or make 10 gold. You will only pre-level when you can't make 10 gold, and you want to keep the units or your bench. In addition, you should only pre-level here if you're not looking for any more 1 cost units. At stage 2-5, you want to be level 5 with at least 10 gold. By the time you get to Krugs, you should be level 5 with at least 30 gold. Most of the time, you will not have a weak or strong board, and you will be mixed streaking. The most important thing to do in that case is to play towards your current streak. This means that if you start off by winning the first round, you should try to win as many consecutive rounds as possible. Once you lose, you will generally try to lose the next couple of rounds as well. In these situations, your general guidelines are to be level 4 on 2-1, make 10 gold by stage 2-3, level to 5 on 2-5 if you're still in a win streak, and have 30 gold by Krugs. There is a lot more complexity behind win, loss, and mixed streaking, so if you want to learn more, check out my early game guide. That will be linked in the description. But know that you can always force a loss streak, you can't reliably force a win streak. The mid game starts on stage 3. Much like on stage 2, We want to keep playing into our streak. But here, we start taking more damage, so we have to be more careful. Your playstyle from here will depend on your current streak, your total HP, your current board strength, and most importantly, what comp you're planning on playing. Your strategy will depend a little from comp to comp, but with most comps, you want to get to level 8 to get 2-star forecasts and some legendaries onto the board. Some comps have to roll at level 8 as they're running very expensive units, and some can get away with rolling at level 7 as they're running less expensive units. If you are win streaking, you can level to 6 on stage 3-1. This is to put in another unit to maintain our streak. It is pretty expensive though, so I only level here if I'm on a win streak and I stay above 30 gold after leveling to 6. On stage 3-2, it's very common to be level 6. The only times you don't level here are if you are lost streaking and planning on rolling at level 7 instead, if you have below 30 gold after leveling to 6, if you have nothing good to add in after leveling and you do not want to roll. I personally level to 6 on 3-2 in about 90% of my games. Another option you have at stage 3-2 is that you can roll at level 6 after leveling. This is done in a couple of scenarios. If you are win streaking and need to get a little stronger to maintain your win streaks by hitting a couple of 2-stars, if you are lost streaking and now you want to power spike and start win streaking, if you're sitting on multiple pairs and you're looking for multiple units that would spike your board, and by rolling you have a ton of options you can hit. How much you roll here depends on a lot of different things, so if you want to learn more about this, check out my mid-game guide. That will also be linked down in the description. On stage 3-5, we can level to 7, much like on stage 3-2, only do this if you're staying above 30 gold after leveling. The reason for the 30 gold amount here that I've mentioned multiple times is because of opportunity cost. If you drop from 50 gold to 30 gold, you will lose out on 2 gold of interest. Next turn, you will lose out on 1 gold if you hit 40 gold, and then you will get to 50 gold 2 turns later. In total, you're only paying 3 gold to put in an extra unit, and also to see 2 level 7 shops instead of 2 level 6 shops. But the only times you will have enough gold to level to 7 on 3-5 is if you have been win streaking or lost streaking throughout the entire game to that point, or if you have some augments that have given you a bunch of gold. But much like on stage 3-2, you can decide to roll on stage 3-5, and the times I roll on stage 3-5 is if I've been lost streaking for the entire game and I'm looking to switch that into a win streak, or if I'm currently on a big win streak and I need to hit a couple of pairs to maintain that win streak. Once you get to stage 4, the late game begins. People start getting low in HP, and you will take more damage here. On stage 4-1, you want to be level 7, and from here it's all about figuring out whether you want to roll at level 7, or if you can go for a fast 8. This depends a lot on what comp you're playing and the overall situation in your lobby. But here are some general guidelines. You want to roll down at level 7 if you're 70 to 60 HP or lower, your board is weak compared to the rest of the lobby, if you're looking for a 3 or 4 cost carry, your team is not reliant on legendaries. If many other people are also rolling down here at level 7, you want to roll here as well to not fall too far behind. And most importantly, if you don't have enough gold to do a level 8 rolldown on the next turn on stage 4-2. Again, these are just general guidelines, so feel free to experiment and break the rules in different situations. But if you are a newer player, I highly recommend you just follow these rules until you have a better overall understanding of the game. If you decide you want to roll at level 7 on 4-1, you generally want to roll down to around 10 to 20 gold. This is so we have enough money to go level 8 later in the game. The only times you keep rolling past those thresholds is if you're incredibly weak or low on HP. In those scenarios, you might just be stuck donkey rolling at level 7 for the rest of the game, until you hit those desired 2-stars. Meaning that you are rolling to 0 gold every single turn in order to not bleed out and to avoid 8th place at all costs. Fast 8 is the other option on stage 4, meaning you go level 8 on either stage 4-2, 4-5, or 5-1. Which one of these you go for depends on your HP total and gold total. In general, you need at least 30 to 40 gold to hit a decently strong board at level 8, so if you are below 30 gold after leveling to 8, you generally want to wait a couple more turns until you have more gold to work with. Another thing to consider before you decide to fast 8 is your HP total. If you don't power spike on stage 4, you will most likely lose every turn until you level to 8, which results in losing about 10 to 15 HP per turn, meaning that if you decide on stage 4-1 that you want to fast 8 on 4-5, you will most likely lose between 30 to 45 HP before then. This is fine if you are healthy, but if you are overall low on HP, this can be a very risky option. The hardest part about stage 4 is recognizing when you can fast 8 and when you have to roll at level 7, so don't feel bad if you make the wrong call, but know that if you're in doubt, it's generally better to roll at level 7. At the end of stage 4 comes the Treasure Dragon. It costs 1 gold to reroll the shop to get new items and consumables. It's important to always have at least 10 to 15 gold before coming into this stage, as it's very important to hit the items you need for your carry. If you have already hit your main carry 2-star, it's fine to keep rolling on the stage to chase the better outcomes, one of which is to get triple Thieves Gloves or even a Tactician's Crown. At stage 5, everyone knows what comp they're playing, and the player damage starts to ramp up quite a bit here. Already on stage 5-1, a lot of other players are all-inning for their comps, meaning they roll to 0 gold in order to hit everything. Therefore, we want to level to 8 on this stage if we have not already. From there, you will almost always roll to hit everything in your comp as well, so be aware of the strategy of your comp before you start rolling here. Another option is to level to 8 but not roll and go for a fast 9. But that requires you to have high rolled for almost the entire game so far, and it's not something you can pull off often. I go for a fast 9 in about 5% of my games, and if you want to fast 9, the goal is to get to level 9 on either stage 5-5 or 6-1 depending on how much gold you have. And in those scenarios, you're often rolling for a 2-star legendary as your main carry. All of that is expensive to buy, so if you're doing a fast 9, you need to have enough gold to actually hit the 2-star units, meaning that you need at least 40 gold or more after leveling to 9. Once you have completed the roll down, you will usually keep rolling every turn to hit everything 2-star. Sometimes you can also go for your main carry 3-star, but that is generally very hard to pull off, especially if your carry is a dragon. So in general, only do this if you have a 4-cost carry, you're uncontested, and you have a lot of gold to keep rolling with. Now let's go over how the economy management differs when playing reroll comps that want to always 3-star their main carries. Your strategy depends on whether you're 3-starring 1-cost units, 2-cost units, or 3-cost units. For 1-cost units, we will hyper-roll a little at level 4 and then slow roll for the rest at level 5. Therefore, we never want to level in the early game as we want to save up as much gold as possible. In addition, when we are staying lower leveled, we have a higher chance of seeing 1-cost units in the shop. The overall goal is to get to 50 gold as fast as possible. This way, we start stacking up additional money so we can have a gigantic rolldown at level 4. You will commonly pair this with a 5 loss streak on stage 2 to gain additional gold. Once you get to round 3-1, you should have 8 out of 10 XP to be level 5 and hopefully more than 50 gold in the bank. You will roll down to 35 gold here at level 4. The reason we stop at 35 gold is because we will be 40 plus gold on 3-2 and back at 50 gold on stage 3-3. This way we lose out on 3 gold, but we get to roll more at level 4 when we have higher chances of 1-cost units. You can also hyper-roll until you hit your 3-stars on 3-1. But this depends a lot on which comps you're playing, so don't hyper-roll all the way down unless it's part of how to play your specific comp. At stage 3-3, you will have 50 plus gold, and from there you slow roll until you hit 3-star units, which means to roll down to 50 gold every single turn. The game plan after that depends on the comp you're playing, but in the majority of cases, the plan is to get to as high of a level as possible, which is going to be level 8 in most cases. Then roll down to add legendaries and 2-star 4-costs into your team. If you're 3-starring 2-cost units, you want to slow roll at level 6. The early game strategy is then to save up as much gold as possible so we can start slow rolling faster. This can often be paired with a 5 loss streak, but since we never hyper roll for 3-star 2-costs, we can also level and play aggressively in the early game if needed. The goal is to be level 6 with 50 gold or more by stage 3-5 at the latest. From there, slow roll at level 6 until you hit the 3-stars. Once you hit your desired 3-stars, the game plan depends a little on the comp, but for most comps, the game plan in that case is to get to as high of a level as possible before you roll down again for legendaries and 2-star 4-costs. If you're 3-starring 3-cost units, the game plan is very similar as 3-starring 2-cost units. You can play the early game however you want, and the mid game however you want. The goal is to get to level 7 with 50 gold or more at stage 4-1 at the latest. From there, you slow roll for 3-stars. Usually you will not hit until stage 5, but in general you will have to all in until you hit your 3-stars at around stage 5-3 to 5-5, as people will be insanely strong on stage 5, and we cannot sack most of these rounds. Once you hit the 3-stars, you will rarely be able to push to any higher of a level than 8. From there, you will usually add in a legendary to complement your comp, but again, the game plan after hitting 3-stars depends a lot on your comp. Augments are still in set 7, so I'll talk about the economy augments and how they change your playstyle and leveling patterns. AFK is a new augment. If you take this, you need to loss streak in the early game. Since you can't buy pairs or 2-stars in the shop, you are going to lose almost every fight. The 20 gold you get is almost like a delayed windfall, so it's a lot of gold you can spend to get a power spike on a level 6 rolldown on stage 3-2, or you can use it to have a larger level 4 rolldown after Krugs. Another thing to note with this augment is that you should not use this post stage 5. At that point, everyone has hit their champions, and positioning really matters at that point, so being AFK is a huge disadvantage. Late game specialist is another new augment. This one is risky to pick up, as a lot of the time you will not make it to level 9. You cannot know if you will naturally hit enough 2-stars to not bleed out until then. Additionally, you will have to be fast at rolling when you actually hit level 9 to use this augment. So if you are not good at transitioning, stay away from this augment. Calculated loss is great for loss streaking in the early game, but if you take this, you shouldn't be open forting on purpose. This is fine to use when playing mixed streaking as well, since you can get power regardless if you win or lose in that case. Clear Mind is another one that is hard to use. You will have to loss streak into a fast 8 with this one, as you cannot hold onto pairs a lot of the time as you need a clear bench, so stay away from this one if you are a newer player. Cluttered Mind is the opposite. If you get this one, try to fill your bench with a bunch of 1-costs so you don't lose it on too much interest. With this augment, you also want to hard win streak. Since you will make less interest than others due to the full bench, you won't have the gold to go level 8 at normal times, but you will get a lot of bonus XP, meaning you will hit levels 5, 6, and 7 before the other players, and you generate that gold to catch up to them through win streaking. Hustler is a reworked version of Hyperroll from the last set. Play very aggressive with this by going level 4 on 2-1, level 5 on 2-2 or 2-3, level 6 on 2-5 or 2-6, and then go level 7 on 3-2. From there, start focusing on your economy to save up enough gold to go level 8 on 4-5. Pandora's Bench should only be used when playing a reroll comp. The champions you're rerolling should be of the same cost that you're looking for. If you're trying to 3-star Diana, put 3 other 3-cost champions in those reroll slots, and remove them from there once you hit that Diana. Rich Get Richer is one of those augments you take when your other options are bad. With this one, know that getting to 70 gold is often not worth it, as it might be better to level up or roll a few shops for 2-stars. So think of this augment as gain 10 gold, and if you're really strong, then you can start chasing that 70 gold threshold for more interest and a huge power spike later. Three's Company is the same as Rich Get Richer. Take this when your other options suck. The only thing to note is that you can use these champions to get stronger and win streak, or you can sell them off for 9 gold to hit 10 gold faster. So consider the use cases of the champions before you sell them off. Trade sector is all around decent. If you play reroll comps, it's easier to hit 3-stars, and if you're playing standard fast 8 comp, it's easier to hit 2-stars in the early and mid game. True Twos is similar to Three's Company and Rich Get Richer. Grab this when your other options suck, and consider using the 2-stars you got in the early game. Cruel Pact is an interesting one. With this one, you want to use your HP to level up to 7 right away. Use your gold to roll for a good level 7 team for the rest of stage 2. You will be around 36 HP after leveling to 7, so you will have to win streak for most of the game to still get top 4. You will never be able to get to level 9 with this augment, so play aggressive for a top 4 or play for 3-star 3-cost at level 7 for the rest of the game. High-end shopping is good when looking for 2-star legendaries or 3-star 4-costs. Loaded dice is great when looking for 3-stars, especially if you're low in HP and you haven't hit the desired 3-stars yet. With level up, you want to think of level 9 as your standard level 8. The goal with this is fast 9, then roll for your comp. If you try to fast 10, then you will most likely not have enough gold to hit a good comp. March of Progress is great when rerolling for 3-cost 3-stars. Otherwise, I would avoid this augment as you hit level 8 later in the game than other people, and you will never make it to level 9. Think Fast is a good augment if you're good at rolling down fast. Since your shops are free for this turn only, you can roll as fast as you can. This is best for comps when you're going for 3-stars, and you also need to take this immediately when you see it, as it only works on that specific turn. And the more time you spend thinking about which augments to pick, the worse this becomes. Windfall is one of those augments you pick when your other options suck. With wise spending, you want to never press that level button, only press reroll for the rest of the game. When you get to 50 gold, slow roll above 50 gold for more 2-star units. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what video you want me to make next, and if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got nearly 8,000 other players there who are hungry to climb, and if you want to get coached by me, the information is over in the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.